it just feels like this could get real bad real quick if they lose this game, which is funny because it actually matters very little to the grand outlook of the season because it's not a conference game. So, like, a lot would still be in front of them even if they lost it. But for the team's mental and confidence and all that, I think this game means everything. Hello and welcome into another edition of Three Ma. John Kurtz, Derek Young, Cole Manbeck, back at it, back ready to talk some K-State football. Who knows where things will go this week for the Wildcats? But no matter what happens, if you have Ben Holiday bottled in bond bourbon along for the ride, things will be much better. I promise you. That's, of course, courtesy of our friends at Holiday Distillery. They also have 360 vodka. So if you're going to be tailgating, I have actually talked to a number of people that are going out to the game on Friday in Tucson. So if you are, show them how to tailgate with some Ben Holiday bottled in bond bourbon or some 360 vodka. Cole, how much have you had since Saturday?
I'm running low on inventory thanks to Kansas State football this season. So it has not been good for one's health, and need to go stock up because definitely running out. A lot being consumed on weekends right now.
Yeah, funny how that works, right? Funny how that works.
It's great to have college football back, guys. You know, what a blessing.
So. That's what, yeah, there was a great meme that I saw on social media that was from, I always forget what's the Tim Robinson show, I Think You Should Leave or whatever, where it's like beginning, the guy's getting in a costume and he's like, it's like football season starts and he's like, this is going to be so exciting. And then the next one is him in the weird costume where he just says, I don't want to be here anymore. And it's like, football actually gets here watching your team. I'm just like, yeah, that's how it's felt.
I saw that. I saw you post that on your Facebook story last night, John, and it was actually very relatable to me. So
you guys still do Facebook?
Well, Cole, it was my Instagram story, which just also happens to post to Facebook. It makes you post them both at the same time, I guess.
Yes. I knew Cole was probably still on Facebook.
Yes, DY. I am a member of all the different Kansas State Wildcat fan clubs on Facebook, and I'm the one that posts, about.
Yeah, you still post, I bet. Yeah, I'm sure. You probably you probably comment. Yeah.
Yeah, I poke John all the time on there, too.
That's right. Cole and I are just there using the poke button on Facebook. Does that still exist? Can you do that?
I don't think so. I'm not active on Facebook, guys. I had a bunch of birthday wishes Saturday, and I'm not. I really am not. I just happen to every now and then check it. Appreciate everyone for the birthday shout outs on Facebook on Saturday. What a great birthday it was. Thank you, Kansas State football. Thank you to the betting gods. Thank you to everybody for another wonderful birthday. Blessed to be here.
I believe the internet tells me you still can poke somebody on Facebook. I'm trying to figure it out. So
get ready, John. I'm going to be coming. I'm coming for your. Okay. I'm going to.
Whoa. All right. Watch where you're going with that finger.
Yeah. That's why I changed. But I'm going to be. I might come poke you.
Come poke. That's too much better.
All right. Well, hey, at least we got that. May not have good football, but we've got. We're on point. Show's great. All right. Well, look, K-State plays a game on Friday. I don't know if you've heard, guys, but it's a short week after a really tiring game against Army.
It's also hot. Apparently.
It's going to be hot. Yeah. So adverse conditions, adversity, but you know what? K-State football and Three Ma march on, and here come the Arizona Wildcats looking improved, albeit against really bad competition, but they did not beat up on bad competition like that last year. So this appears to be a better team than it was last season. Unfortunately, I feel like the first headline here is just like, is the bottom going to fall out on this season? I know we talked a little bit about this toward the end of the postgame show, but yeah, we've had another Chris Kleiman press conference now, and it kind of just, I don't know, feels like the beat goes on with this, hey, this is going to be a tough game with lots of adverse conditions, and I know you've used the phrase like almost willing it to happen, and Tim Fitzgerald has used that phrase, and I feel like it's it's a pretty good one. They also, I mean, they continue to have rough injury luck. You'd think on a short week, short turnaround, that's probably not a great recipe for a bunch of guys getting back and playing. And if you are I mean, this is the fourth game of the season. Okay, that's an important one with the red shirt rule. If we're talking about bottom falling out on a season, I don't want to start down that road too much. But it just feels like this could get real bad real quick if they lose this game, which is funny because it actually matters very little to the grand outlook of the season because it's not a conference game. So like, I would still be in front of them even if they lost it. But for the team's mental and confidence and all that, I think this game means everything.
Yeah, this is a psyche game because it really doesn't matter because you've already put yourself in a spot where you're not going to get an at-large bid to a playoff anyway. So everything that matters is, the only way to get there is by winning your conference title. So actually beating Arizona or losing Arizona really is of no consequence.
Well, I would say this. The only thing is if that now this is, I think we all realize pretty ridiculous talking about winning a conference championship. But if you won the conference championship and lost this game to Arizona, you may not get in anyway. You may not be one of the 5 highest ranked conference champs. That would actually be
there is a world of that. I think it's an unlikely one, but you're right. There is a world of that, but it would depend on what you do during the league. And obviously that's not really a discussion worth having at this point, but it does render this game for the most part fairly inconsequential, but it does mean a lot for like the mentals and the psyche of the team. I totally agree with that. And we're talking about the bottom falling out. I mean, that's on the table clearly. Now, is it a given? I wouldn't say so, but this game might have a lot of say in that.
Do I tell folks at the Liberty Bowl that this game doesn't matter? All right, this game matters. Chance to get to the Liberty Bowl.
Yeah, I don't even think if Kansas State won, it would guarantee something like that.
I'm joking.
Obviously, yeah, but I mean,
the Liberty Bowl sounds grand. If you could get another New Year's in Memphis right now, that's boy, we're living large, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't take that right now just because it is the Liberty Bowl, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, look, it's a crucial in the grand scheme. Doesn't really matter, but it matters because of where Kansas State's put themselves. And if you lose this game and you fall to 1-3, then I don't think anybody has any hope of them getting back on the right track at any point this season. And you're going into the bye week after this too, so you'd really like. I feel like this team needs, like we talked about, they might be a little bit mentally soft, right? They might lack a little bit of that intestinal fortitude. So like it almost feels like they need something good to happen that they can have sit on their mind for a couple weeks during the bye week, feel good about themselves, then have, get healthy, get some guys back, to have some good prep time. You got a UCF team coming to Manhattan, which I would say is a definite win, but this team has proven nothing isn't definite.
There is some, you guys are right. You both kind of hit on this. There is some merit to the idea if you were to lose this game. Like, I'm not saying that people start to have like some of those red shirt things. I don't know if we go down that road just quite yet, but like having to sit for 2 weeks on 1-3, I think would probably make things worse and not better.
There would be people having conversations. I guarantee you there'd be people in the back, like camps of different players that would be reaching out and said like they'd have plenty of time to make a decision over a couple week period. We saw it happen with UCF last year with some guys, I think Xavier Townsend and a couple others. So, look, it definitely is a thing. It happens, and especially in this era. So you need a win. You need to feel good about yourselves. The fan base needs a win too. And then you get to come home against UCF and potentially get back to 500 in Big 12 play, get above 500 and overall, and, start to feel a little bit better about yourselves. Not only do you need a win, you just need to play good football on top of that. Like, you take winning the game, but we need to see a lot of things cleaned up as well.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of just like, I don't know, win the game. My hope for things being cleaned up and looking nice and shiny and pretty is, I mean, I feel like that train left the station a couple of weeks ago.
I'll take an ugly win. Yeah, cleaned up, good football. I'm not even expecting that, even if they do win.
Yeah, I mean, look, it'd be great.
Yeah,
it'd be great, but I don't trust this team.
That'd be flipping a switch like from 0 to 100, and it doesn't work like that.
Avery Johnson ran for 110 yards and 6.5 yards per carry on 17 attempts against Arizona and Manhattan last year, folks. Do we see the return of running Avery Johnson in this game?
Probably. To be honest, I hope not, because when they call it, it's terrible. Scramble, do that. Don't call QB runs. It goes nowhere. This team doesn't know how to run a QB run game.
Well, some of that I feel like is just the way it feels like they've coached into Avery, trying to.
Well, I think it's just poorly blocked every freaking time.
Well, yeah, there's that too. But if it's going to be poorly blocked, you better be willing to put your hand in there. And he just doesn't run as hard as he did in 23.
Yeah, I get that, but like this is probably the worst Big 12 team when it comes to wide receiver and tight end blocking, and that's why you have no QB run game. The QB run game is very reliant and dependent because they don't want to run Avery between the tackles, right? We've already talked about that, and even we said it's probably a little bit silly to do that. So you have to run them on the perimeter. This team can't run on the perimeter because nobody blocks on the perimeter.
I do think that's a pretty good point. I was going to read, this is from Shahan Jayaraja yesterday, CBS Sports, national college football reporter. He did a story about K-State. He said, it seems clear that K-State is trying to run the quarterback less often and let him work from the pocket to develop. However, neutering one of his top abilities has been a liability. Johnson has only 78 yards rushing this season, and 25 of them came on one rush during the come-from-behind win against North Dakota.
It was a scramble, though.
The program simply must find better ways to maximize their most transcendent talent. Even national guys are kind of seeing the same thing that we're seeing.
I don't disagree with it. I just don't think this team can execute the QB run because nobody on the perimeter, everybody on the perimeter refuses to block, essentially.
Cool, you are right. I mean, he looked great running the ball against Arizona last year.
Yeah, I mean, this offensive line, the tight end room, receivers, like nobody really has blocked well. I mean, Parker pulled the stat from Pro Football Focus that they're averaging 2.7 yards in between the tackles, 5.7 almost outside on the edge, but they can't run inside right now, which probably impacts their ability to get to the edge too at times with Avery Johnson. And
they don't have to. Defenses don't have to. What I want to say, respect the inside run game. So whenever Johnson does pull it and go outside, like they can be there, like they can honor that because they don't have to honor the inside run.
Yeah, the tight end room also, guys, is something we haven't talked a lot about, but it feels like there's been a regression there. A group that we thought was going to be the strength of this football team and depth and numbers, and I get Lincoln Cure's been hurt. He's a true freshman, though. Like, Will Ancio has, one catch for 2 yards? We thought he was going to have a breakout great season.
More catches he had this time last year.
Yeah, I mean, Brian LePack moves to offensive line coach. The offensive line has been bad. The tight ends have been underwhelming with Luke Wells as the tight ends coach. The wide receivers still having drops under Matthew Middleton. They're not blocking well on the perimeter.
They don't get lined up right.
Yeah. I mean, like Curry and I went through the all-22, that illegal formation DUI on the show. That
the wide receiver has to, Avery needs to be able to identify that, but the wide receiver has to know too.
Yeah, but you know what else was bad about that play that Curry pointed out is they brought Will Swanson in to help Max protect North Dakota. North Dakota rushed 5 guys and they had 7 into block. They didn't even need to max protect. And then what made it worse is John Pastore on the left side allowed the edge rusher to just come free off the edge. They didn't slide the protection to the left, even though they brought Will Swanson in on the right. So just execution, fundamentals of football, this team doesn't pay attention to the details.
That or they just aren't good at all at picking up any of that pre-snap because you just called everything out. It was all pre-snap reads, and they read the entire thing wrong.
There's no way you guys have had a chance to see the show yet because it dropped Wednesday morning, first thing, but also another pre-snap read on the interception to Joe Jackson on the final play of the game against Army. That happened because Avery Johnson didn't diagnose that there was a blitz coming, and they should have left Joe Johnson in, or Joe Johnson. I got not Joe Johnson on our Patreon Discord in my head. They should have left Joe Jackson in to max protect there and pick up the blitz because they only had 5 guys to protect. 6 were coming. Either that or Curry really ripped apart Joe Jackson's route on the blitz.
No, that was if he runs that better or just goes to the right spot, that's an easy completion. But again, it's what I've said the first 2 games, and I know everyone is starting to come around on it a little bit more. This team has no idea what they're doing pre-snap offensively for some reason. At least the players don't, and the coaches aren't getting the message across. If not,
I think it's a very valid point, Cole, about the staff shuffling there. Like, Luke Wells, very underwhelming so far. Brian LePack seemingly not picking it up real well at all. I mean, offensive line, I mean, I guess you can say, like, hey, the players, they're not picking this up well. You do have a lot of new guys there. There are some transfers. I mean, that is all true. But it's just like Connor Riley's room would always figure it out better than this. I mean, they had some slow starts sometimes, but it was better than this. It was not this disjointed. It was not this disorganized. And look, some of that makes sense. Like, he's a guy that's been coaching offensive line forever, and Brian LePack, I know, has done that some in his past, but not at the level and not for the length of time that Connor Riley has. So I do think that, just like in hindsight, some of that has hurt. And I think we were all really optimistic that, like, the change overall at offensive coordinator would be a really positive thing. Maybe it's just hard to judge or tell because everything underneath has been so bad that, how do you fully judge the Matt Wells offense? But I think it's clear, like, the whole sum of the parts thing with all the staff changes on that side of the ball has been a net negative at this point.
Well, the defensive staff didn't shuffle. That side of the ball is still pretty brutal too. So I don't like, I know I get what you guys are saying, the shuffling and stuff, but it's like, even where they didn't make changes, it still looks pretty ugly. So I don't go back to this. And I hate making excuses for this team because it doesn't justify barely beating North Dakota and losing to Army still. That's not what I'm trying to say. But take Dylan Edwards out of the Rutgers game, they probably ain't going to win that either. So, and obviously he's not the only injury, and I could probably rattle off 9 or 10 guys, significant, meaningful contributors to this team that have missed at least one game or multiple games.
They've had bad injury luck. I mean, that was, actually that's going to be the second headline here, which we'll go ahead and take a break, but I was going to try and get an update on that. I'm not saying that they haven't been dealt a bad hand in some ways, but I am really tired of the excuses for it. Win games. Like, win games. You knew what the schedule was long ago. Chris Kleiman, according to Gene Taylor, is the one who agreed to go play in Ireland. Like, don't then come and complain about this over and over and over again when you're playing overmatched opponents, teams that don't have nearly as much talent as you, that you should be beating. I have no patience for that. I guess I've got to have a little bit more patience with the Kansas City Chiefs right now. If you are a Chiefs fan, you could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. We're back in just a moment.
Hey, everybody, what is good? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst. We got some fun action this week. K-State on the road against Arizona. Sky falling? You feeling a little bit of concern? I got some good news for you. We'll get to that in just a second because I do have a play for this K-State and Arizona matchup coming up a little bit later on. But I do want to let you know that if you happen to reside or you're in the state of Missouri, get ready because the wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. It's coming soon to Missouri, and you can actually sign up today, even though the deadline's not until December 1st. And it's a great opportunity because new Missouri customers, you get $300 in bonus bets when we launch on December 1st. If you download it now, you place a $5 bet when we go live. DraftKings Sportsbook, I've been using it for a long, long time. It brings everything that you need to make your game day experience so much better. You got live in-game betting, fast, lightning fast payouts, and so many different ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone, wherever you may be. Remember, when we go live in Missouri, you're going to be betting with the Sportsbook app that is trusted by millions. It is safe, it is secure, and your money comes super duper fast. I do want to get into this K-State matchup. It's been rough. Let's let's just face it. They're going to try to turn the ship around. Had a rough home upset last week to Army. Now going back on the road to Tucson, Arizona to take on the Wildcats. There's a couple things that stand out to me. First, kind of feels like the books are begging us to take K-State. This is a team started the year 0-3 against the spread. They've been one of the better covering teams since Chris Kleiman took over. Despite the dog barking in the background, it is not an indication to take the underdog in this game. K-State a 1.5 point favorite at DK Sportsbook this week with a total of 53.5. Now, I know that I like K-State for a few different reasons, but the bet that I prefer is actually on the over at 53.5. A couple of reasons why. One, most books have already moved up past a relatively key number of 54 to 54.5. So the fact that it's still available at DraftKings as we put this together, your closing line value is already in the positive, depending on when you decide to make your move. And it's also a fairly high total relative to what Arizona has done so far this year. You think about the Wildcats being a team that hasn't allowed a touchdown in their first 2 games. Via covers, they rank in the top 25 in EPA expected yards added, or expected plays added, I should say, on both offense and defense. This doesn't feel like a team that you'd be facing with a pretty high total for, but sure enough, that's the case. And I think it's an indication that the sports books are looking at K-State as an opportunistic team ready to get their offense cooking. So I think the Wildcats rebound here, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Arizona also likes to play up tempo. It's a good opportunity for K-State to match that energy, certainly if they pick up some chunk plays on offense. And we know that the Wildcats are better than what we've seen, the K-State Wildcats in a battle of the Wildcats. And they need to stop the bleeding fast. Saw a crazy stat over the last couple of days that the teams that lose the Ireland game, Florida State and the Nebraskas, one team fired their head coach and the other team, I think, finished 2-10. Chris Kleiman needs to turn things around fast, and I do expect him to do so this week against Arizona. You can play K-State -1.5. I'd rather play the total at a better number at DraftKings as we speak at 53.5. So when you do so, when you head on over to DraftKings Sportsbook, you can download the app, use the code KCSN to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet once DK Sportsbook goes live on December 1st. So again, that's code KCSN in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. You must be 21 plus, physically present in the state of Missouri. Eligibility restrictions will apply. The bonus bets expire 7 days after they're issued. That excludes customers who redeem their pre-launch sign-up offer. All the terms are available at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, so there's a bunch of injuries. I mean, Dylan Edwards sounds like may have an opportunity to come back. JB Bradley, JB Nelson, Terrence Enos, Lincoln Cure, defense like Ryan Davis. We still haven't seen him yet this year. Donovan McIntosh, Marion Fortenberry. A lot of under talked about injuries, or just guys that didn't play against Army. Daniel Cobbs, Colby McAllister. So, yeah, I don't know. From that list, take your pick on who you think is coming back and what's the most important out of all that.
Yeah, I was just. Do you already have your Alenko? What do you want Alenko's storyline to be?
I wasn't going to use it on the injuries. I was going to.
That makes sense. No, it was interesting that there was 4 defensive players, and we probably even in our group chat didn't talk about it. I don't even know if we brought it up. I think we maybe almost missed it. But Donovan McIntosh, who got benched the prior game, didn't play. Daniel Cobbs, who had been the number 2 nickel, didn't play. That's why he saw so much Kenigel Thomas, I think. Even though you're not going to run a nickel against the triple option, I think that's why Kenigel Thomas played as much as he did. And quite frankly, I think that was a little bit of a downgrade. Marion Fortenberry was really good the prior week, didn't play at all. And then Jordan Allen on the defensive end, on the defensive line, also didn't play. And you would think, maybe this would have been a good game for him as well to play. So, and I'll be honest, I don't know if those 4 specifically are injury related or if it's related to maybe, Chris Kleiman, what he said on, I don't know if he said it on Monday or Saturday after they lost to North Dakota, said if he sees that guys aren't getting the triple option in that first day or 2 of practice, they just won't play. So I don't know if there was any examples of that or if these truly are 4 guys that were also banged up. But if so, I don't know what's going on, but the defense has just been littered with injuries because obviously we know Ryan Davis has missed every game so far. Asa Newsome came back. Army was his first game where he actually played. Colby McAllister still hasn't played. Gunnar Maldonado, obviously, still not up to speed or 100% at this point. I think that's fair to say. Offensively, we know about Dylan Edwards. We know about George Fitzpatrick. J.B. Bradley just got hurt, and he'll miss a few games. Terrence Enos and J.B. Nelson on the offensive line just missed the Army game as well. I mean, that's a litany of injuries. And I want to say, like, what are you doing in practice? Well, some of them are a lot of those are happening in the games, I think, so far, except the ones that were preseason. And I can't say this team's not physical enough and then want a soft practice. So I don't know what to say of everything.
Jordan Allen played on special teams DY, so he was in the game. I saw him on kick returns, so he wasn't hurt. I think probably maybe a couple of those other guys might have been on special teams too. I mean, I saw Donovan McIntosh with a helmet on the sideline. I'm guessing those guys were fine, and it was just a decision not to play a lot of them. Do expect J.B. Nelson and Terrence Enos back for this game. Amos
Talalele. I'm not sure about Enos yet. Nelson for sure.
Amos Talalele, in their place, had some nice snaps. He's probably going to see an uptick in playing time and rotate in some. He's a guy that can probably help you in the run game along with J.B. Nelson. If J.B. Nelson can move a little bit better and be a little quicker, maybe on pulling.
I would say Amos is slower than J.B. Nelson on pulling. So if they're going to play those two, it just takes a little bit of the creativity from the blocking scheme away. That's what I'll say.
Yeah. And then obviously Fitzpatrick still out. Dylan Edwards sounded questionable to doubtful per Chris Kleiman. So, that's kind of the latest on the injury front. You mentioned J.B. Bradley going to miss a few weeks, as Kleiman said, with a hand injury. So, yeah, they're down a few guys. Certainly could use Dylan Edwards back, but I don't know if we see him or if they're just cautious here and they use the bye week. Hope they can get by with one and win.
I don't think. And this is a long list, especially for at this point in the season. And I don't know if it's a sign of them doing anything wrong. Like I said, with the lack of physicality and toughness from this team, I almost wanted more physical practices, but it's hard to do that when you're down so many significant players already. So it is bad luck. It is not an excuse to almost lose to North Dakota and to lose to Army, but boy, it could be one of the issues of what happens when you're playing teams in the Big 12.
Yeah, Ryan Davis does sound like he'll be back.
He'll be back. It sounds like Dylan Edwards really wants to try this week, but that seems like a little bit too quick of a timeline to me based on what I know.
Cool. I kind of think back to didn't they switch up how they were practicing in the off season? There were less practices going on there and more lifting because of something with Ireland and it being earlier. But you did endure a change of strength coach and decided to do less spring practice, like actual hitting in practice, and now you're having a slew of injuries. So I don't know.
John, the whole idea was to be bigger, stronger, tougher, faster by doing that, right, DY? And they definitely didn't look like it worked.
They want to be fresher at the end of the year because they thought they wore down last year.
Well, Chris Kleiman, I believe Cole is right, did say that the idea was to be like bigger, stronger, faster, and better condition as opposed to like just drilling stuff in practice, if we're going to paraphrase.
And yet we got Chris Kleiman saying they're tired and they're dead in games against Army, right? Yeah, that's the thing, guys, is like Chris Kleiman talked about the Army game being a weird game, 82 plays to 43 plays. I texted you guys just the other day, and DY, I think you probably wrote about it, but like, why are you always on the other end of losing these weird games? You ran 102 plays to Iowa State's 35 in 2023. You had 42 minutes of time of possession to 17. You lost.
Yeah, Iowa State was not too tired to win that game.
Because they made plays. They stepped up and made the plays that mattered. You don't do it. You ran 75 plays to 52 for Houston last year. You lost. You ran 75 to 48 for BYU last year. Now that there's circumstances in that game, obviously why it got out of hand. That's different than that. But like you're constantly on the other end of these weird games. Like if you're going to blame time of possession on the Army game, then why the hell couldn't you beat Iowa State when you ran 67 more plays than them? That the snow, are we going to use that as an excuse? We just have to cut the excuses. It's really tiresome.
Cole, honestly, another good comment from the Discord at patreon.com/3ma if you want to join the Discord and talk about this all week, every week. So enticing. But if someone brought up like Chris Kleiman's starting to sound like Bruce Weber, and I was like, man, I mean, that it's what it's reminding me of. I would say the tone is a little less whiny, but the content is pretty similar at this point. And that was one of the things that drove me and a lot of people most nuts about him. Obviously had a lot of success, but he didn't do himself any favors with constantly going to excuse making after things. And now, of course, he also followed up Frank Martin, who was a guy that was, much more the opposite end of the spectrum, buy in or quit. His infamous halftime interviews with Stan Weber, all that stuff. And same deal here. Chris Kleiman's following Bill Snyder, but I don't know. That's what it's starting. It's starting to really grate on me the same way that like Bruce Weber press conferences were for a while there.
Yeah, different eras. I think this is. I think Kellis wrote this, but it was something about Jordy Nelson. What he was recounting or recalling a Bill Snyder story from when or whatever, but something about it was over 100 degrees and for some kind of workout or practice, and all the players walk in and they're complaining about heat, and all of a sudden Bill Snyder walks in with a winter coat on. And then they're like, well, if he's going to wear a winter coat for an entire workout when it's over 100 degrees, then we no longer can really complain here.
Yeah, that's 100% it. It's 100% it. Okay, well, having said all of that, painting such a pretty picture here, this will be the top storyline of the week, brought to you by our friends at Alenco. Go to alencohome.com. That's ALENCO home.com to get hooked up for all your home improvement needs. K-State's a Vegas favorite.
Well, depends when you look at it.
Bounce back and forth, but K-State, at least the last check for me, a Vegas favorite. Arizona at one point was a 1.5 point favorite. K-State's been bet up to 2.5 at certain points here. Cole, how and why is K-State a Vegas favorite in this game after everything we've seen this year?
Well, coming into the season, K-State had a 74% win probability in this game, and that is now flipped to just a 43% win probability, according to the SP+. The SP+ actually projects Arizona to win this game by 2.9 points, gives them a 57% chance to win, and projects a 29-26 final. Again, they had a 26% win probability just 3 weeks ago. The betting lines have been all over the place. It came out K-State favored, then it jumped to Arizona favored. Now it's back to Kansas State favored. I don't know. I think Kansas State on paper is probably the better team, but it's really hard to judge what Arizona is as well, because they played a Hawaii team whose quarterback was really beat up and really couldn't move in that game, and they had to replace him midway through the game. He'd gotten hurt the week prior against Stanford. Arizona's defeated Hawaii in the Weber State 40-6, 48-3. Credit to them, they blew them out. Hawaii ranks the number 108 team in ESPN's SP+. Weber State ranks the number 227 team in college football between the FBS and FCS. They're the number 76 team in the FCS. So you could say they haven't played anyone, but Arizona dominated those teams. Kansas State couldn't dominate North Dakota. They lost to Army. All right. So there's a problem in itself. At least Arizona went out and did what they were supposed to do. Kansas State has not done that. Kansas State has struggled to continue to drop games that they should win. This is a game that on paper, again, I think they should win. But Chris Kleiman in his coaching career, 13-6 as a double-digit favorite at Kansas State. He's lost to Army as a 17.5 point favorite. Houston as a 13-point favorite. Tulane, 14-point favorite. I could go down the list. Look, different eras, different coaches. Bill Snyder went 36-2 as a double-digit favorite in his second stint from 2009 to 2018, winning his final 25 games outright as a double-digit favorite. And I'm talking about winning outright. And so too many losses to games that you should win that you do not under Chris Kleiman. We'll see if they can change that against Arizona. Look, Arizona went 1-4 at home in Big 12 play last year. There's 6 of their 8 losses. They lost by 21 plus, obviously lost by 24 to K-State. K-State should win this game in my mind, but I don't think K-State's going to win this game. So I don't know, John. I don't know what the sharps are thinking or the betting experts or pros, but for whatever reason, they're on K-State right now.
Kansas State probably has more talent. I mean, they definitely have more talent. That's not the reason why they're losing, but at the end of the day, Arizona's doing what Kansas State's not. They took care of business. But at the end of the day, that also doesn't mean Arizona's any good.
Did you guys see what old friend Trey Spivey had to say about K-State?
Yeah,
honestly I should have used this in the opening part. I mean, it'll fit here as kind of a transfer. Trey Spivey, former K-State receivers, now at Arizona. But there was a shout out to Phoenix Wildcats on Twitter, which posted a clip from a Trey Spivey press conference, and he's talking about K-State, and he said, "quote they play off energy. When the sideline was quiet over there, heads would go down." And I mean, like, this is talking about last year. I think we all sensed that vibe this year. There was definitely some of that last year too, but it's like, that's guy who left the locker room not calling you out for it. Now, I know that on one hand, you could be like, well, hey, bulletin board material, maybe that'll fire him up. But does it fire you up when the whole bulletin board material is talking about how you don't get fired up? Like, I don't know how exactly to square this, if this is going to work. I guess if it works, that'd be great. But that certainly sounds some alarm bells for me.
It just, you get a hot and cold team. That's what it tells me, that they are unable to, they don't stay the even keeled almost that they used to say that they were all about. Don't get too high, don't get too low. I feel like they do get high and low. It goes, and it's based and it's dictated by what's going on in the game. If things are going good, they're going to jump around and have a little pep in their step. If things not, then it's almost like they feel sorry for themselves and can't get off the mat. That goes back to mental toughness probably more than anything, and Trey Spivey's probably confirming maybe our most gloomy suspicions. And you know what? He also confirmed my other suspicion, because at the end of that statement, you know what he also said? They have some really good freaking players on that team on offense, like a lot of talent, he also said. So, and I don't think, based on what he said at the beginning of that statement, I don't think he's lying about the back end of that statement. So I think this team is talented. I think they're losing because of other things, or they've lost because of other things.
I put on the Discord last night as a joke, disclaimer, it was a joke to the RCPD. Should we go vandalize the Veneer complex, paint some Arizona stuff all over? Maybe they'll fire these guys up. Good for another, had a great comment. They'd probably walk in and say, oh, cool, let's go get ice cream. You know, I don't know what fires these guys up. Like, they clearly didn't come out with a purpose against Army after they nearly lost to North Dakota. So I'm not sure that you can get these guys to play with a passion and a desire that it takes. You know, prove us wrong, show us.
Yeah, if it takes bulletin board material to win a game, like, great, cool. But the problem is you're not going to have bulletin board material every week. So I don't want to blame you because of bulletin board material.
And frankly, I didn't think what Trey Spivey said was bad. So
no, it wasn't. And he's just saying that this team is they get too high, get too low.
Yeah, probably accurate.
I don't think it was that bad either, but it is something that a team that is chippy and cares could definitely use that as bulletin board material. Like what Mike Gundy said, for instance, about Oregon and Dan Lanning wasn't really that bad, especially if you listen to it like in context. But then if you go hear the clip that's been circulating of Dan Lanning's pregame speech, he totally flipped it into motivation for his team right as they're getting ready to head out of the locker room, and then they beat him 69-3. So, like, I don't know. I think a team that has an edge and a chip on its shoulder can definitely use something like that if they wanted to. But I don't know. All right, we'll come back with a little more in-depth preview of Arizona next.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story, like Brain Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Brain Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner in possible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
What's up, guys? I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network, and I'm here to talk to Kansas City businesses. If you rely on technology, you need an IT support team that's not just another vendor, but a true IT partner. That's why I want to introduce you to my friend and neighbor, KJ Miller. He is a VCIO at ThrottleNet, the Midwest's highest rated and most reviewed IT support company. They've been in business for more than 25 years, helping companies stay secure, productive, and ahead of the curve. They aren't just IT support, but they provide data security, IT strategy, and cloud software services. They do it all, and their reviews show they do it better than anyone else. So if you want to hear about how ThrottleNet can help your local business, join the conversation with myself, KJ Miller from ThrottleNet, and our resident genius from KC Sports Network when it comes to IT, at least as he's affectionately known by us, Mr. Craig Stout. Click the link in the description to hear how ThrottleNet can help you.
Well, I think, Cole, the most concerning thing to me about this game and this matchup is that at least last week, Noah Fifita looked like the Noah Fifita that everybody expected at the beginning of 2024. Threw for almost 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, I think, right? Just had a great game against Weber State, and obviously K-State's secondary has had some issues. So that is concerning. There's no more Tetaroa McMillan, no more top 5, top 10, whatever he was, NFL draft pick, but Noah Fifita looked a lot better last week.
Well, head coach Brent Brennan made sweeping changes to his coaching staff after last year, and he brought in Seth Daggy from Marshall to take over as the offensive coordinator. Daggy, known for his up-tempo offense, he was only at Marshall 1 year. They went 10-3 last year. Look, Marshall averaged 1.63 points per drive in 2023, ranking 108th in the country before Daggy arrived. They brought him in, improved 66 spots nationally to rank 42nd at 2.54 points per drive. So that's potentially had an impact as well on the offense for Arizona. Fifita now on the season completing 67% of his passes for 534 yards, averaging 12 yards per pass, 6 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, 210 passer rating, 4th highest in the country, again, acknowledging they haven't played anybody. He was tremendous in 2023 when he threw for nearly 2,900 yards, 25 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, ranked number 11 in the country in passing efficiency, 8.6 yards per pass as well. But last year took a huge step backwards, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, ranked 91st in the country in passing efficiency. So number 11 to number 91 in America. That certainly is a concern. Look, they've lost McMillan, top 10 pick at wide receiver. He had 11 catches for 138 yards against Kansas State last season. So that impacts them. But Javen Watley is a guy that's been explosive for him transferring in. He came from UT Chattanooga, 8 receptions for 206 yards, 26 yards per catch. He had 140 catches for 2,100 plus yards in his 3 seasons at Chattanooga, an average of 15.2 yards per catch. Luke Wysong, number 2 receiver, 4 receptions for 70 yards. He transferred over from New Mexico where he had 840 yards last season. 14 different players have caught a pass. Differs from last year. McMillan had 1,300 plus yards receiving. Second leading pass catcher last year, 323 yards as well. If you're looking for something that you could get Arizona with, look, Fifita took 28 sacks last year for a loss of 220 yards. That ranked 102nd in the country in sack yards lost and in the bottom third of the country in sacks taken. He's already been sacked 5 times for 53 yards lost, 105th in the country this season. According to PFF, Arizona's right tackle has allowed 7 pressures in the sack. Their left guard has allowed 3 pressures. They rank 115th in pass blocking grade. This is a game where Toby Osunsomni and some of these guys that we've heard hyped up on the defensive line have to get after Fifita because he does tend to stay in the pocket, try to make plays, be creative, and he'll drift around and float around trying to keep his eyes downfield. You can get some big sacks on him, similar to what you did to Shedeur Sanders last year against Colorado, and something that he was often guilty of as well. Arizona, explosive running the ball so far this year. They were not a good running team last year, 3.8 yards per carry. This year, averaging 5.8 yards per rush on true rushing attempts. Brought over a transfer from Portland State who actually leads them in rushing. But Ismail Mahdi was the guy that was the big piece they brought in for the backfield. He ran for 1,300 plus yards and 6 yards per carry in 2023 at Texas State and almost 1,000 yards last year and 5.4 yards per rush at Texas State. Also 76 receptions for 744 yards in his career with Texas State. So he's only got 74 yards on the ground this year, but Arizona's been explosive offensively. They're top 3 in the Big 12 and top 15 in the country in explosive plays. And what concerns you about that, guys, is just Kansas State 98th in the country in explosive plays allowed. And we know that they've ranked in the 120s in back-to-back seasons in 23 and 24 in passing explosives given up. So Are you going to have guys running free again against this secondary? I mean, this secondary hasn't inspired a lot of confidence in any of us, I don't think.
No, not inspired a lot of confidence. Not fully healthy. I mean, we haven't even talked about this is Gunnar Maldonado return game, but he has not been much of a factor at all yet this year.
Yeah, and the other thing, John, no interceptions in 3 games for K-State on 79 opponent passes. 108 teams in college football, many of them have only played 2 games, already have an interception. Since the KU game last season, K-State has 3 interceptions on 230 passes attempted against them. It's an interception rate of 1.3%, which ranks in the bottom 15 nationally during the time frame of 8 games. They've been drifting downward. 2022, they were 17th in the country at a 3.5% interception rate, 3.25 interception rate. In 2023, 30th in the country, then 2.5% last year at 75 nationally, and 0% this year. So that's been a huge issue. Well, you're not creating turnovers, and that's been something that's plagued them the last couple of years. You're not flying around to the football and forcing teams into other mistakes. And of course, we all know they're not getting off the field. I mean, it's a remarkable stat that K-State's held teams to 9 of 28 on 4th downs last season, 4th in the country at 32%. And they've already allowed 10 of 12 4th down conversions in 3 games this year, 83%, ranks 111 nationally. They've already given up more 4th down conversions than they did all last year.
Yeah, that was a problem against Army. It was a problem against Army for sure. Well, Arizona's got a new defensive coordinator too, right? Things look differently on defense.
Yeah, they hired Danny Gonzalez to take over the defense, and former head coach at New Mexico, defensive coordinator at Arizona State. Arizona 3.06 points per drive last year, 119th out of 134 FBS teams. They were one of the worst defenses in college football. Against SP plus top 60 offenses last season, they allowed 40 points per game and 7 yards per play. 122 guys with 100 snaps or more last year. Only 9 of those guys returned, but they returned 62% of their projection on the defensive side of the football, because their top 3 tacklers are back. Dalton Johnson, nickel, had 94 tackles last season. Linebacker Tay Brown, team's second leader tackler, and their third leading tackler, Genesis Smith, from the secondary is back. They've already got 7 sacks on the year. They've got 5 interceptions. They're number 1 in the Big 12 in havoc rate, number 5 in the country at over 26%. So that's negative plays, batted balls, pass breakups, interceptions, turnovers, you name it. That's what factors into havoc rate. K-State's offense, guys, is allowing a havoc rate of over 17%. That ranks 102nd in the country and 15th out of 16 Big 12 teams. So this offensive line will have to be ready to play. Again, how much of this is influenced by the opponents that Arizona has played? How much of a jump have they really made under the new defensive coordinator? They were one of the worst teams in college football on that side of the football last year. Number 14 nationally in overall success rate defensively, 12th in the country in explosives given up through 2 games. K-State number 32 nationally in explosives on offense. I talked about the running the ball inside stats. Guys, this is a huge problem. We know this. K-State's 128th in the country and last in the Big 12 in power success rate. And a reminder, power success rate measures the percentage of runs from 3rd and 2 or 4th and 2 or less that result in a first down or a touchdown on the ground. And K-State's 127th out of 136 FBS teams in stuff percentage allowed. That's last in the Big 12. 29% of their runs are stopped at the line of scrimmage or behind it. Arizona's been good against the run as well. So, I don't know. Is this a game that K-State's able to get the running game going? I don't know. Guys, they only have their longest run on the year on a designed run with their running backs or quarterback is 17 yards on a designed run. They have 2 rushes over 20 yards on the season, a 25-yard scramble by Avery and a 33-yard run by Jace Brown against Iowa State. They were 2nd in the country last year with 34 rushes of 20 or more yards. They have 2 through 2 games.
Some of that, DJ Giddens is really good, but yeah, I think fair to point out a lot of scheme, blocking, everything else going on.
And K-State 12 of 35 on 3rd downs, 34%, ranks 101st in the country. They were 41% last year, ranking 62nd, and 11th in the country at 48% in 2023. And the result of that is obviously K-State's 128th out of 136 FBS teams in time of possession, 36 minutes to 24. And people might say, well, Army, that plays a role. They lost time of possession to Iowa State, 34-26. They lost it to North Dakota by nearly 4 minutes too.
Yeah. Well done. I don't know. Cole's already tipped his hand at where he's leaning on this. I guess not quite prediction time yet, but I've got some quick hitters for you. Okay. This is another, and this, again, I will give a shout out to the Discord, patreon.com/3ma. Like, if you do contribute stuff there. I think this was Discord. Maybe this was Twitter. But if it was Discord, I want to make sure I put that out there. But somebody had posed the question, like, all right, would we be 3-0? Would K-State be 3-0 had Dylan Edwards just not muffed the punt? I was curious for your for your sorry, I'm laughing at Cole in the chat. Curious for your take on this. What would K-State's record be had Dylan Edwards not muffed the punt? Which, like, theoretically, then he's not injured, right? That play didn't mean all that much in the game because Iowa State had a dumb turnover after that. But if Dylan Edwards is healthy, I guess is what it's asking. What would the record be?
Yeah, maybe they're 2-1 because they beat Army or something like that. But I just don't think things are a lot different because I don't know that changes what I've always said for like a month now. What is the root of the problem of this team? And it's physicality, toughness, and discipline. And you don't have your physicality, toughness, and discipline issues do not get erased because Dylan Edwards doesn't muff a punt and is playing for you. You become more talented and explosive, but a lot of times that's not enough when you're not physical enough or tough enough.
Can I clarify that I was saying success rate earlier and I may have misspoke? So I'd like to just apologize to our listeners. Truly trying to say success. I apologize if I misspoke. People in the chat are giving me some fun here. Look, I think they'd be at least 2-1.
They might be high in sex rate too.
They'd be at least 2-1. Like think about like the play and I think K-State might have still scored a touchdown on this drive. I can't recall, but like the play against Army where like Joe Jackson bounces, like John, you know what I'm talking about, bounces it to the outside. He's contacted like 10 yards from the sideline and falls out of bounds. Like that's a touchdown for Dylan Edwards. Like there have been plays
it's a touchdown for any running back not named Joe Jackson. I think like that's a touchdown for Devon Wright. So
yeah. So,
but I don't know. Like I'm not even going to. You're almost entertained at the thought of being 3-0. They're not beating Iowa State. This team's not tough enough to beat Iowa State.
I don't know. Like I'm not trying to give them any excuses. You know this, but like,
but I think you're underrating what toughness does.
Well, but like
you just lose a different way.
But if you have
the way you did.
But like the fourth and one failures, they had a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1 failure.
Right. So they'd figure out a different way to lose.
But DY, if you had Dylan Edwards on the field, I'm saying like you went empty on a 4th and 1 against Iowa State with Avery Johnson. Joe Jackson's proven he's not able to get the job. If you have Dylan Edwards, you can at least give the threat of getting to the perimeter more and giving read plays that are more of a threat.
And what I'm saying is this team would find out a different way to lose. The defense would give up 6 touchdowns instead.
All right.
That's what would happen.
All right. Well, they'd definitely be 2-1, John, and I would actually give maybe a close lean to 3-0.
I think it's possible that they could be. Again, as negative as I have been on the team, like I've been a guy beating the toughness drum as loud as anybody, but I am kind of with you, Cole. Like, I don't know. That seemed to just like really set the tone, throw a wrench into everything. And that's a part of it. This team doesn't have the ability to regather itself when something goes wrong. Trace Bybee says, things start going bad. They hang their heads. Things go bad on the sideline, like flow with the energy of the sideline. That's a perfect encapsulation of it. Is what happened with Dylan Edwards. I think for sure they beat Army. If you're just busting another 1 or 2 like big plays, like you said, they've had a hard as hell time blocking in the run game and blowing things open for guys. But the one time they do, your running back can't take advantage. That running back room looks decidedly average at best right now. They could really, really use Dylan Edwards. Okay. So Mike Gundy, I mentioned him earlier, lost 69-3. Second game in the last 3 that Oklahoma State's played where they've lost by at least 52 points. And Colt, when I was watching that game, I had this thought. Actually, DY, I think that DY was around in 2018, right? So were you at Oklahoma in 2018, DY? Because when I was watching Oklahoma get beat 69-3 at Oregon, it reminded me of the moment that, like, I mean, we all kind of knew it was going downhill in 2018, but the moment that like sealed it for me was 2018 Oklahoma watching Kyler Murray put up 700 yards of offense on K-State. The final score wasn't as bad. It was like 51-14. But that was the game where it was like, dude, it looks like Oklahoma is playing a different sport than K-State right now. And after the game, Bill Snyder, I even looked up the quote. He said, I've got to go look at what condition the ship is in because I don't know if it's ever been in this condition before. Like even Bill, 2018, as stubborn as he was, seemed to kind of realize like, oh boy. So That's all a preamble to this question. Who would you rather have coaching your team, Cole? 2018 Bill Snyder or 2025 Mike Gundy? All due respect to Bill Snyder, okay? And all due respect to Mike Gundy, frankly, who's a freaking legend too. But it's such a similar situation that they're in. We're like, what are you going to do with that guy? Because it's over. I mean, it's over. I'm sorry. It's over for Mike Gundy. But how do you handle that?
I probably would still take 18 Snyder. Somehow that team almost made a bowl game. I don't think Oklahoma State's going to sniff that. So I would take Snyder in a second. And I think if we're talking about preparing for a team, like he's going to have a better scheme and game plan than Mike Gundy is at this point of his career too, because he was always, that was like his true call. One of his callings, Coach Snyder, is like having a plan and getting it and a scheme to really attack a team's weakness and stuff like that. Gundy's expertise lies in other areas. And I will say, you're right, that Oklahoma game that season, but the first one was Mississippi State. And the margin of victory wasn't even that wide, but it was like you could tell the talent discrepancy was. And it was not even like Alabama, right? It was Mississippi State.
It's a great comp for a game, though. I mean, that one is, too. They got physically dominated against Mississippi State, but the Oklahoma game, I remember Kyler Murray, like, dropped a snap, picked it up, and ran around for, like, 10 seconds. No pressure on him. We had Skylar Thompson getting drilled on the OU sideline, and no one from K-State reacted except one guy to help support Skylar there. You could tell the thing was crumbling, but I still take 18 Bill Snyder over Gundy. Look, Gundy's not even recruiting at this stage, really. He's not a dynamic recruiter anymore. Bill Snyder would find a way to win between the margins there, and so I would take Bill Snyder.
Yeah, I think the answer is Bill Snyder, man. I mean, because Gundy's spending his time now complaining, like basically bragging about, like, he's like, we spent like $7 million the last 3 years combined in NIL, and Oregon spent $40 million this year. It's like, dude, that's not, it's legal, right? Like, you can't. Don't brag about that. That's not good. I, as president of the Sawyer Robertson fan club, was very offended to see that DY's cohorts at On 3 put out their list of top 10 Heisman contenders this week and somehow did not have Sawyer Robertson on the list, but yet John Mateer is number one. Okay, let me read you a couple of statistics here. John Mateer, 72%, 662 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. He has 98 yards rushing and 3 TDs. So total, he's got 5 touchdowns, 2 picks. Sawyer Robertson, 859 yards to 662 yards, 7 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only has 1 rushing yard, but he's done this against an SEC defense and a playoff team from last year in SMU on the road. And we're going to throw John Mateer a freaking parade for beating Michigan at home? Michigan with a 17-year-old playing quarterback? Like, what are we doing here, DY? Get these On 3 assholes to respect the Big 12. Like, what is that? John Mateer is a good player, but how Sawyer Robertson is not on that list, and John Mateer, I don't. I saw Josh Pate saying, too, I really like, but I saw Josh Pate saying, like, oh, Oklahoma's for real and back, and, like, this is the game that, like, did anybody watch Michigan play football last year? Like, they still feel a couple years off. Like, driving me crazy. Anyway, who would you rather have as your quarterback?
I'd probably take the guy that can run as well in his throw. I would.
Sawyer Robertson can run.
Yeah, and I think Mateer's a better runner. But
Mateer is a better runner, and Robertson does. Robertson hasn't taken off to run as much as I thought he might, but I would take Sawyer Robertson at this point, just because he's done it at this level at a longer time. I know Washington State wasn't that low of a tier, but I'm taking Robertson. That, by the way, that scares the hell out of me going to Waco with this secondary and watching what that team.
Yeah.
So,
well, I don't know that this week's a lot different if Fafita is as improved as it looks. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say Sawyer Robertson. I mean, I like both of these players a lot. And look, if you had them just both on the list, this probably
I would take, in terms of how they've played this year, I would take Robertson or Mateer. I'm going Mateer probably just more on personal preference and stuff. But
what was the nastier rivalry move from the past week? I think these are arguably the 2 nastiest rivalries in college football. The Missouri amputee wasting his chance at $25,000 to, instead of trying to kick a 45-yard field goal, kick it straight at the KU sideline and lift up his shirt with a message that said FKU, or Is it the West Virginia fan who seemingly created a flying simulator video of a plane crashing into a Pittsburgh building? What is the nastier rivalry move?
Well, I think the plane into the building.
Yeah, I can't.
That even like startled me when I saw it. It's like, are we really doing this?
Yeah, like I didn't even.
And by the way, tomorrow is 9/11. Like it's a little too close.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I didn't even think about that, man. Yeah, sorry.
I didn't find it funny at all, the plane thing, and that's definitely the nastier move. Like,
that was over the line.
That's egregious. But it was the KU Missouri thing that was funny. Like that's a good rivalry move. Like that's clean fun.
That was funny.
The West Virginia dude.
The reason why it's fun. This isn't funny. Well, it's ironic. So the reason why I remembered that tomorrow is 9/11 is someone was saying you're going to be in a plane on 9/11. I was like, I think I'm over that by now. I don't know.
Cole, the only thing I would say is that the Mizzou dude, I mean, like, I guess you give him credit for this, but like, I mean, he's in person. Like, they're right there. Like, they could, I mean,
yeah, he actually inflicted real pain potentially. Like, I get that, but
coming to himself, like that could have been, Jalen Daniels could have just said, "Screw this, I'm going to come take you out." Like, I mean, he's like right there.
Also, I do respect it, like, but I respect it too because he sacrificed like $20,000 to do that, right?
He probably also knew it was making the kick.
Yeah, I think he said he realized he had no shot at making it. It was like a 45-yard field.
Yeah.
Really long.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it was it was funny. But see, like that's why we need these games back, man. I was stoked for KU. People are gonna crap on me again, but I was stoked for that. Like that's such a good, nasty, hate-filled rivalry that we need in college sports. And last week in some of my downtime, I watched most of the 2007 KU Mizzou game. So I was fired up for it. So, okay, finally here. What did I have last? Oh yes. Okay, cool. Update. You can poke people on Facebook.
Thanks.
Check your notifications. And my actual question here is, since we know that you're all over the cutting edge social media apps, are DY and I in your MySpace top 8?
Well, first of all, I just did see I got notified that you poked me, and that feels good. Thanks, John.
I still get notifications for Facebook.
Yeah. I had to click in. DY didn't like. Yes, you guys would be in my MySpace top 8. My MySpace account's been discontinued for 20 years. When did it go away? 2005. I was never really active on MySpace. So.
Well, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe you were still using it.
I can't remember it very well.
All I remember is like the drama that would ensue when you changed who your number one friend was. Yeah,
I can't remember it all that well. So
was Tom not always your number one friend, or was he just a friend?
Oh, or maybe he was. Okay, whoever was after Tom. Okay, I'm sorry.
I don't know. I actually never had a MySpace page. We use Zanga instead. We use Zanga. Very similar, but a little bit different. All right, lead pipe lock of the week. Cole, did you tell me? Are you 0-3 now? You're 0-3?
Yes.
Okay.
Who do you have, Cole?
Oh, that's right. Cole had Cole. It was a bad beat. It was a bad beat, Cole.
I had Ole Miss, and then Kentucky kicked a field goal with 8.
I didn't feel good about that one. I didn't. Sometimes I just go with you guys. Like I'll tell you, but then when I heard that one, I was like, I don't know about Ole Miss yet. And then John's, I was like, USF gets up for Florida. I didn't want any part of that one.
I love that John too was bragging in the text Saturday night. He's like, I took USF, and we were like, no, you took Florida.
Sarcastic on purpose, no?
Yeah.
No, I was not being sarcastic. I forgot which side. I knew it was that game, and then when
John's
I saw,
like, yeah, John's like, I took USF, baby. I was like, no, you took Florida.
I know, and then I was like, I went back and looked at my notes. I was like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. You were like, USF's going to come down to earth.
Yeah,
and
I said
they're not that good.
Well, I just said that they'd be flat. It's like a letdown after the Boise game, and like, yeah.
But the in-state stuff is why I was like, I don't know if that's true.
I know.
But I was wrong too. I picked Sun Devils. Shame on me for trusting the Big 12 defending champs.
Here, I'll give you guys my lock of the week. Well, guys. No. I'm on a historic run of losses in my 3-mile locks of the week dating back to last season. Last week, I moved to 0-3 on the year when Kentucky kicked a meaningless field goal with 8 seconds left to defeat my pick. Well, the streak ends on Friday because there's no easier lock of the week than the Arizona Wildcats in Tucson against Kansas State. K-State just lost to Army as a 17.5-point favorite. K-State nearly lost to North Dakota as a 25.5-point favorite. I told you I've given up on them. They can't fix this. DY and John don't believe. Why should they? The program's 1-8 against the spread since the KU game last season. There's zero doubt Arizona covers this game. K-State, I don't believe in you. I question your toughness. I doubt your desire. I question your talent. Do you have what it takes? I haven't seen it. You're not playing physical, tough football, not disciplined. You're not firing off the ball and hitting dudes in the mouth. You look passive. Where's the team that created 20-plus turnovers multiple seasons under Kleiman? Where's the team that made it a shoe-in that you convert a 3rd and short or 4th and short on the ground, that made teams dread playing K-State because of their discipline? Many see a team that is broken. Belief isn't given, guys. It's earned. And it's earned in moments like this, when everyone doubts you, when the headlines turn negative, and the only people believe in you are within the walls of that locker room. But do you believe internally? It doesn't look like it on Saturdays. A near loss to a mediocre FCS team didn't wake you up. Why the hell would a loss to a military academy do that? It's a short week. You're banged up. You're playing in the heat. There's plenty of excuses to lay out. Do you have what it takes to respond to adversity? Does the culture and fabric of this football program still exist, or is it crumbling? Can you flip the script, play with fire, with pride for the ones who laid the foundation before you? Many have written you off. That includes me. Prove me wrong. Prove Threemaw wrong. Prove everyone that doubts you wrong. Go ahead. I dare you, but you won't. K-State, 24. Arizona, 31. The lock of all locks. I'm going to 1-3 on my picks thanks to Kansas State. Arizona shorts right here. Here we go, baby. Let's go. It's Arizona.
That was awesome. That was well played. That was good. I didn't see it coming. That was smart. And Arizona's basketball shorts are fire. I love those things.
Yeah, I actually like the cactus logo the best. I wish they'd go back to that a lot more often. My luck was actually going to be Arizona as well. I'll do something different so people have something different to use. I'll say Memphis -4.5. Memphis might be the best Group of 5 team, maybe not even USF, and they're going to get a Troy team that's probably going to let down after they took Clemson for 3 quarters.
Cole, I was trying to give you a note on your speech because I think I knew how to really get under the K-State team's skin, but you didn't use it.
Tell them they suck at PlayStation is what John said.
Sorry, John. Yeah, I was reading my prepared speech. I have to be honest. If you guys couldn't tell, I had a speech prepared.
Yeah, well, we can always tell when you're reading off your screen. But I thought you were going to do like the Lee Corso okey doke and still pick K-State. I thought that's
no. You see what I'm doing there, though, right, guys?
Yes.
Yeah, I watched The Office. Michael Scott explained reverse psychology to me, so I'm.
Well, we can't hint too much at it, though, guys. We got to make it seem genuine.
Okay, it's like a no-hitter. Yeah, we can't talk about it. All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I'm looking at this and almost second guessing it as I put it. Here's my logic. Wisconsin sucks.
If you're second guessing it, is it really a lead pipe block?
It's a lead pipe block of the week. Listen, my gut is never wrong except for the 2 times that it's been wrong out of 3 so far this year. Bama's -21.5 against Wisconsin. Okay, Wisconsin's terrible. Bama scored 73 last week. They've been hearing for 2 weeks how awful they are. It's a P4 opponent. Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer can do this. All right, he can do this. I don't know if he's going to hack it in the SEC this year, but Wisconsin's just really, really bad. I think the Fickle, you can pretty much stick a fork in him there. So I'm at Bama. This feels like a Bama by 30, sort of situation here playing Wisconsin.
I don't really trust Bama under DeBoer, but I get it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, DY just gave me some confidence about that. All right. No confidence in K-State. No, Arizona 34, K-State 23. I'm sorry. That's no confidence.
I got it 35-28 Arizona. I'm with you. The reason why I got it like a flat score and not like a 38 or 31 is like Kansas State's not good enough on short yards, 3rd down or 4th down. So teams don't have to worry about punting or going for field goals at this point. So it's going to be a flat number. So I'll say 35-28 Arizona. And if K-State wins, they're just going to have to outscore them because I think Arizona's going to be able to throw the ball pretty much at will. They'll probably be able to run the ball at will too. And I don't know if K-State can run. Like, I don't know. That sounds bad. I've lost all faith in this team.
You know who's licking his chops, though? Nate Katzer. Arizona 134th in punt return efficiency, dead last in college football last year, 117.
Way to bury the lead.
Punt efficiency.
To the end of the show, he brings that one out.
Yeah, punt efficiency, one of the worst teams in the country last year, too. Their only reason their special teams ranked highly last year, their kicker's now the starting kicker for the Baltimore Ravens, was a hell of a kicker last season for them.
Well, punting efficiency, they won't have to worry about if they're not punting.
Boy, Nate Katzer is going to have something schemed up. Just don't return a kick for a touchdown, because that actually would be a bad thing.
You've already took Arizona, so.
What was your score, Cole? What was your score?
I took Arizona 31-24.
Okay. See, I don't think teams will really be kicking a lot of field goals on K-State this year when they look at the fourth down.
That's only one field goal.
Yeah.
All right, I trust them to hold in the one field goal. So
yeah,
go Cats.
Arizona. Which? I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Bear down.
I used to have some Arizona shorts too. I don't know what happened to them, but
these were purchased.
Why is Arizona bear down? I never understood that.
Cole, you're. I know what you're about to say. Did you buy those when K-State played in Tucson, Jacob Pullen in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I bought a bunch of Arizona gear while I was covering that tournament. And,
we saw you put those on. Did you already take them off?
Yeah, I don't have shorts on right now, guys. You want me to stand up again? Yeah, no, I took them off.
I just don't know why you didn't leave them on until the end.
Because I got to take my kids to school here in a minute. I don't want to accidentally forget to take them off and be walking in with Arizona shorts.
Okay, I just didn't know why you did like a strip show at the end.
And Vanessa threw my
trying to improve its sex rate.
Well,
we brought this around full circle, baby.
I wonder what I can't. All right.
The show brought to you by Van Holiday Bottle and Bond Bourbon 360 Vodka. Drink up, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to Alenco, ALENCO home.com for all your home improvement needs. Thank you to Nick Springer behind the scenes. Thank you to DY and Cole. I'm John. Go Cats. We'll let you determine which one that means, and we'll talk to you soon.